Welcome everybody to the election finale. I'd like to thank the candidates, the Rook and Barrera. So without any further ado, let's get the final election going with questions from our fellow GMs. Up first, question number one, the Rook goes first. This question is from the Reds. The Reds would like to ask, are you okay with the current composition of the 20 scoring categories used by our league? If yes or no, why? And would you consider making any changes?
The 20 categories that are on right now I think are pretty. We've had them in our league for a long time, and I think they've been pretty useful. However, I would try to make relief pitchers maybe a little more, have more of an impact in our league. Maybe by adding some innings along the way, making us have maybe more relief pitchers. Besides that, I think the rest of our categories are pretty upheld with everything that's going on. Maybe throwing a twist here and there, adding something on would also be good. Offensively, however, which one, I don't know. But maybe adding a twist to offensive would be good.
Very nice. Barrera, same question.
I think I'm pretty comfortable with the categories the way they are. Off the top of my head, I don't think I would change anyone in particular. I really wouldn't.
All right, thank you. That was question one. Second question, Barrera goes first. This question is from La Chota. Chota asked, although this is a fantasy baseball league, we are actually very similar to a social club or organizational group such as the Freemasons and Elks Lodge. We have rules, we vote, we pay dues and such. However, in those groups, there is a president, a vice president, and even a treasurer. Would you consider setting up our league in this model? Possibly a commissioner, deputy commissioner, and a treasurer. To me, it makes sense considering the amount of people in our league.
I think the way the current structure is, it would have to be. I think it's fine the way it is. I don't think a deputy commissioner would really help in anything. As long as the commission takes in mind input from the rest of the league, I don't think any of those other positions are necessary.
All right, Rook, same question.
Very detailed question there, Jota. The way I would answer that question is I actually been thinking about it. If I ever got to becoming a commissioner in this league, would be to add an assistant to help me. I've noticed throughout the years with Caesar and Lou, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of things that are happening, and it kind of affects us as a commissioner as well to try to win the league because of the fact that we're running the league, but we're trying to win it. We're also trying to win a championship, and that's kind of hard for us. I would look to maybe add an assistant if I was a commissioner to help me with other things. Maybe on the day of draft, he can also help me with the time. He can help me with putting players on the board. There's a lot of things that I think would benefit from something similar to that, Chota, but maybe not necessarily a treasurer in every single spot. But I think maybe an assistant could definitely help me or Barrera be able to run this a little easier, and then also be able to get an input on how we can handle this.
All right, third question. This one, the Rook will go first. Is from The Difference. The Difference would like to know, in this league, some GMs have closer personal relationships than with others. For example, the Rook with his brothers, and Barrera with his college buddy, the Shark. How will you be able to make unbiased commissioner decisions despite these personal relationships?
I think for the most part, we're always, regardless of our relationships that we've had, I've always felt like we always have to look out for the integrity of the league. This year was a perfect example of that. I've known Lou Dog for over 10 years. He could have easily been my buddy and allowed that draft to go, that trade to go through, and it hasn't been the case. I think we've been pretty fair along the way. How can I make that not happen? Being the commissioner, I think, and if you want to run a good league, which I think we do have, there's going to be times where you're just going to have to make a decision based on the league and not whether he's your brother or your good friend for so many years. So, in that case, I know that I would make the right choice, regardless of friendships and or considering that they're my brothers.
All right, Barrera.
Yeah, I think as a commissioner, you have to be held accountable regardless of the relationships that you have. And I think that the league itself will like police itself, because if it seems like the commissioner is acting on behalf of somebody else, people will say something, and I think it already polices itself as it is, and you just need to be impartial and objective when running as a commissioner.
Okay, fourth question is from the Shark, and this is going to start off with Barrera. The Shark asks, recently there was a conflict between the Ox and myself. Since the Ox is no longer returning, that issue was resolved. But what would you do as a commissioner if two GMs still in the league got into a personal conflict and were no longer on good terms with each other?
I think I would speak to the two GMs directly, and if possible, get them to agree to come together. And if the disagreement was serious enough, get them together with me being kind of like a moderator, and have them both speak to each other, get some input, we hash it all out, discuss it, and if things continue to be an issue, then in true democratic fashion, you put it out to the league, hey, this guy is creating some problems, blah, 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 whatever is needed, and make a choice based on that.
Rook?
In the case that we had last week, where you're not doing a very good job of it, apparently, I would obviously speak to both of them. I would try to find out why Ox is feeling the way he is and saying what he's saying. I would also speak to Caesar and find out what's going on. In the meantime, try to do it through hearsay. But if that doesn't work, then before we start our draft order, I would definitely try to either bring them together and try to hammer it out. If that doesn't get resolved because of the fact that it's becoming maybe too personal between both GMs, then maybe it's something that as a commissioner you have to just kind of have to put the hammer down, in the sense of, if you guys just can't respect each other and let it be in the sense that you guys can't get along, then one of you have to go. Putting it out for vote would be one of the options, but then at the end of the day, being the commissioner, you also have to sometimes put the hammer down. And in that case, I don't know what I would do in that sense, as far as if I would put the hammer down on either or, but I definitely give everybody an equal opportunity.
Okay, for the final question, we have a guest speaker asking it, none other than our current commish, the Snake.
Get up there. Okay. Question number 5. Your last question. Who goes first? Mario, right?
It was supposed to be me, yeah.
Mario's going first. Okay, my question, we're staying kind of the same on number 4, going to 5.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Ox, from what I know, is not, he pretty much said, hey, I'm not in.
Okay.
But I'm going to leave it to you guys. Now we got 13 teams. Are you going to make that effort to contact the Ox? Or Ox is gone? Are you going to go to 12 teams? You're going to stay at 13 and you're going to go up to 14? How are you going to go about getting another GM? So that's my question there.
I think initially, right when you asked the question, I was thinking the fair thing would be to contact Ox, because he has been in the league, and say, okay, we're going into the next season. The season's coming up. Are you going to be in? Are you going to be out? Are you going to have maybe try to squash the issues that are happening? Go from there. If he says no, then start actively pursuing getting a 14th team. I don't think I would want to cut a team. Teams are already in the league. They're vested. They have tenure in the league. So I would actively recruit a 14th team to replace the Ox. But I think in fairness, the first initial move would be to contact him and see if he really truly is in or out. But from the sound of it, it sounded like he's out. So that's kind of it.
Really?
And I disagree with you, Barrera.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I contact Ox. Based on the comments he put out there, considering the amount of activity he did in our league, considering that he came in out of nowhere, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
That's just me. However, as far as putting it at 14, I would love to leave it at 14. However, if we cannot find another good GM to replace Ox, I'm not gonna put it at 14 just to say we got 14-man league.
Right.
Because I think being more competitive is more important. I would adjust that by making it down to 12 and expanding rosters. However, I understand that we would have to cut another guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but if I had a choice, I'd probably cut down to 12, unless we had a legitimate GM in the works that I think would be good for our league. But I'm not going to expand at 14 just to say I got 14 guys. So that's what I would pretty much do if in that case.
All right, guys, that wraps it up. I'm going to give Barrera a closing statement and then followed by the rep.
Closing statement. You didn't tell us about closing statement. Throw it a little curveball. I think being a commissioner, it's gonna be a lot of trial and error and going and learning as you go. And so as long as you're objective, you're impartial, you have the right frame of mind, you want the league to benefit, you want the league to improve, things will get resolved, I think.
Rep?
Considering we're the guinea pigs in all this,
That's a curveball from the school right now.
the only thing I will say is, as a commission, I'm just going to try to make sure this league is, I think, as competitive as possible, by being able to have the legitimate GMs in front of us. As a commission, it's not an easy job.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys in this league that are very competitive, and we're always willing to look out for the best of our team. That was a perfect example of that this year. But at the end of the day, I think being able to manufacture this league and make it continue to run would be a good challenge for me, and I would look forward to it.
All right, thank you very much, fellas. Thank you for running a good, clean campaigns. And the voting results will be in soon.
Should we shake on camera?
Shake on camera.
Okay.